Hello and welcome to another edition of Wide Open Throttle. Joining me this week, in addition to Ed Lowe and Johnny Lieberman from Motor Trend, is the host of Epic Drive's Arthur St. Antoine and the host of World's Fastest Car Show, Justin Bell. And Justin, we'll kick off with you. World's Fastest Car Show, it's been an interesting debut on the channel.
Yes, I'm only just about able to sit down right now. A little sore. Yeah, I mean, it was, as you know, it was a very aspirational thing for us to get on your network, so to speak. And it's funny, we did 50 episodes before this. Yeah, a lot of views, but 9 comments in 50 episodes. You come here, and the video's been posted 7 minutes, and you've already got 400 comments. And we're 4 episodes in now, and thankfully, each week people seem to be, getting more used to it. They understand that I dress funny, I talk funny. It's almost like finding out that someone who knows how to barn dance can throw in a bit of Bolshoi ballet in the middle. And finally, they're doing their web research, now they're arguing, saying, who the fuck is this guy? It's like, well, Google him and you'll find out. And now it's starting to make sense.
My favorite was, I looked at one of your videos the other day, and it was you on a racetrack, and somebody said, this guy can't drive for shit, which is, it's just the best comment.
Johnny and I have taken to tweeting, texting, we don't do it publicly, but not about our own comments, about I watch his and he watches mine and I watch yours. I think it just shows to me, though, the depth of passion, not always knowledge, but generally a lot of people that comment don't do it for positive reasons. But now we're starting to see the swing. As Jessie said to me, she emailed me after I responded to something she sent me last week, and I said, I don't read them anymore to save my own suicide watch. And she said, don't worry, they'll be sending you marriage proposals in a month, so it's fine.
Well, it's interesting, Arthur, you've been around, like me, writing for magazines for a long, long time. You always had this conversation with the audience, but it always was a one-sided one. The letter would arrive via snail mail, and then maybe there'd be a one-line pithy comment at the end of it. Now, on YouTube, this platform, it's in real time, this conversation.
Everybody gets their voice, everybody gets their opinion heard. It is a totally new experience, as you say, Justin. I mean, it takes some getting used to, because the people who sit down to write usually are not writing something that, oh, you were really good. They have a bone to pick, and they pick it.
I have to say, once I got over the shock of it, and I started to realize this is a very rewarding experience, because it's a bit like looking at a horoscope. You go through and you go, definitely, no, that's not me. Oh, good lover, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm good at, you go through the horoscope thing. It's a bit like reading the comments. You go, that's bullshit. Oh, no, but this one's right. For us, it's just what a great forum for what we do.
When you do engage, are you finding that the comments tend to turn then? They're just amazed that they're actually talking to you? I mean, that's something I think that we've all found. When you get in there, the initial comment's negative, then when you reply, they're like, oh my God, like you actually read these. And it's like, yeah, dude.
There was a guy, Weird Fish 99 or something, and then, then you go and check and you realize that there's, he puts things about everybody with a sort of intellect.
Oh, you really checked.
I went to look, and so I went and checked out Weird Fish 99. He was making some comments about the validity of a GT2 win at Le Mans, as in Chrysler has never won at Le Mans, no American car has ever won at Le Mans. I had to jump in, and I said, the way it is that rather like the any premiership or category or division, you can only win the one you're in. And then he wrote back, still, it's a wine and cheese thing, you shouldn't, And I said, wow. He said, and just so you know, the winning GT is nowhere near winning the first. And I went, all right. No one knows this better than me. My father's won it 5 times. I led it for 12 hours. We finished third. I finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th overall, and I've got a victory in GT2 there for Chrysler, for Dodge. I said, so if anyone knows what it's like, I know. And he came back and said, who the fuck are you? And then he came back and said, I'm sorry, point still stands. But I think you're right, and it's the dialogue.
World's Fastest Car Show is an independently produced production, so Justin, you and your partner Nikolai at Ammo Films, you make the program, and you brought it to us. We liked what we saw, so it came onto the network. What's your ambitions for the program? Where do you want to take World's Fastest Car Show?
I mean, really, where we are now with you was one of our biggest objectives, to be on, let's face it, arguably the biggest platform for automotive content anywhere, worldwide. And our ambition, I think, is just to get better at creating fun car content in our little niche. And I'm the funny car guy with a strange voice, and that's me.
You are.
Well, I understand you drove a Jaguar over here today. What
Yeah,
did you think
I've done a lot with Jag recently. I did the launch of the F-Type in Austin. I went over to England in October and shot like an in-house commercial with Martin Brundle and Christian Danner.
Well, that's a good segue to our next piece, because Arthur, you've just done a lot of miles in a Jaguar XFR-S from...
It's a mouthful, yes.
Yes, from Sebring to Kota for Epic Drives.
Yes, which has just gone live. It was a great trip, lots of fun. The fastest sedan they've ever built, 550 horsepower, electronically limited top end at 186. They claim 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. It feels it. It feels very strong. It was interesting though, Angus, but at the end of the trip we got it to Circuit of the Americas, as you say, where we really got to finally open it up for the first time, and then got Randy Popes behind the wheel as well. And Randy was like, this is a little bit too much power for the rear end, the way it's set up right now. But he said this car needs the traction systems because it's really the way it's balanced. I know that their development engineers like to set up Jags to slide.
Well, Mike Cross is one of the great drift merchants of all time. You've ridden with him. I mean,
Absolutely.
He always arrives at any corner with 2 turning and 2 burning.
And that's the way this car is set up, very much so. But I must say, it's a very nice long-distance cruiser. It's got every amenity you could want. I really enjoyed it. Now, there were a few things that I hesitated about in the car. There were some issues. Ours was a very early car, but the transmission was wonky at times, and the EDIF system was coming in and out.
It is still British.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget that for a second.
During this episode, I got to race the greatest drag racer of all time, Don Garlitz.
Nice.
Now,
What was he driving then?
Daddy.
Don showed up in a bit of a cheater with a spec Dodge Charger with a monster Viper V10 under the hood. And he was running about 9.9 at 138 miles an hour, and
That's
I got
all?
a 12.5 at 115. So I'm pouring over the tapes you get after you make the runs, and I'm showing my wife, and I go, oh, look at this. On reaction time, Don was 0.149, and I'm 0.084. I kicked Big Daddy's ass. And she kind of rolled her eyes and looked at me and said, isn't that the guy you raced who's 81 years old?
But Jag's in a very interesting place at the moment. I mean, it's come through the Ford years, and you could argue that without Ford Motor Company, Jaguar wouldn't be alive today. And now with Tata owning it and real investment in product, there's kind of poised to take off.
Yeah, well, one of the things I was talking with some of the Jaguar people at the New York Auto Show, and they said, cars like the F-Type would not have been built without Tata's involvement, specifically because Ratan Tata said, you're building that car. He actually loves the idea of bringing like an E-Type successor back. Again, without the investment, without the passion. It's not just these guys are bankers and throwing money at a brand. They really do like the cars and want good product.
Right, and I gotta say, they've been making good cars for a while now. I mean, really good driving cars.
You have to be in a Jaguar to understand that it's a really nice choice. The thing Ian said about the F-Type was, Mr. Tata came in and leant over his shoulder and was like, you've got to keep that line in there. I mean, that doesn't happen with investment houses, does it?
And now we have a very special guest joining us here on Wide Open Throttle, providing the technology works.
Hello, nice to see you.
Okay, Sebastian, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the win in Canada. It seemed a pretty trouble-free race, apart from that close call you had with the wall. What was that all about?
I was pushing very hard, and obviously the walls are getting quite close then. I thought inside the car that I just got away with it, but obviously...
I realized later on the footage that I brushed the wall. It wasn't intentional, but as I said, I was pushing very hard, and that's what can happen.
So now you've got 29 wins, you've won 3 world championships, and you're still only 25. Can you remember what it was like when you stepped into a Formula One car for the very first time?
Yeah, I do remember. I was shitting myself. I was, it was quite scary, the first outing, because it seemed, so far out of reach. I thought, all right, I go down the pit lane, and then, basically as soon as I was on track, I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Hit the full throttle. I thought, all right, that's it. That's for real men. I'm very proud to, have made it to get to test the Formula One car once in my life. But after more laps, I got more and more into it, and you get used to the speed, and I started to enjoy it.
Do you still get excited when you get into a Formula One car, or is it just a job these days?
Yeah, I do get excited, mostly for the races. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that gets done, and a lot of late hours on the track as well. But I love driving the car.
You're with a good team. I mean, you get to do some pretty cool stuff with Red Bull when you're not in the car. What's the best thing you've done with the Red Bull guys outside of driving the car?
Phone interviews. No. Obviously, the part that I enjoy most is driving the car, but it's also nice to, you know, to have such a young team that you know, does some stuff for promotional activities, etc. that, you know, are a little bit different to the usual stuff.
Now you have a real job with Infinity, Director of Performance. What does that mean? What does that job mean?
With the official title, Director of Performance, yeah, I had the opportunity in Paul Ricard a couple of weeks ago after the race in Monaco to test some of their cars and to provide some feedbacks to the engineers. And the plan really for the future is to, yeah, build a car in a way, build a car together. Obviously, my participation is small. I'm not building the car and I'm not responsible for design, etc. But I basically try to give an idea in terms of handling, how the car behaves.
Well, there's a lot more compromises involved in a road car. I mean, as a driver, what sort of setup are you looking for? You know, you're very sensitive in what you feel back through a Formula One car. A road car's a bit different. What are you looking for? What are you guiding the Infinity engineers towards?
Obviously, a race car feels very different, and a road car should never be a race car because it's too stiff. But I like when the car is, let's say, firm and you feel in control. Obviously, you want a car that it's comfortable, but equally you want a car that, if you want to, you can speed up a little bit and have some fun.
Okay, Sebastian Vettel, thank you very much for joining us here on Wide Open Throttle.
Thank you very much.
Sounds like a jolly nice chap.
Good luck in the
Yeah,
UK
yeah,
and
exactly.
Hungary and
Yeah.
How good is Sebastian Vettel? How many more championships has he got in him?
He's going to win quite a few more. There's no doubt. He's got a great car. He's a phenomenal driver. He's got a clear head. I want to see somebody like Raikkonen move up to be his teammate. Somebody who's at the absolute world champion level. He needs to have that push. The same thing that with Senna and Prost, that kind of level of competition he needs within his team. Then we'll know how good he really is.
right. That said, though, I mean, 29 wins, 90 some odd starts. I was looking at Schumacher. It was like 90 some odd wins, 280 some starts. So he's kind of like a little ahead of Schumacher's pace, And he's 25. I mean, it's just like.
If you got a Raikkonen as a teammate or someone like that, yes, they can push them. Unfortunately, we've seen time and time again that the playing field is very seldom equitable when you bring in the other A-lister.
I'd like to see young Valtteri Bottas in a really good car.
There's some great drivers in Formula One. I was talking with Gilles de Ferran about it because when he was there with BIR, how good are they? He said they're all really good. Right?
Yes, even the guy at the back of the grid is a better driver than any of us put together on our very best days. So that's all we've got time for from Wide Open Throttle this week. Thanks a lot. See you next time.